watching the News Hour at 9.
Let me begin by presenting to you the case tonight. Pride. That's the emotion I feel right now as I present to you my case. 158 years since the draconian British law was imposed, the Supreme Court partially struck down Section 377 and laid down a new order for New India, the basis of which is I am what I am and take me as I am. Delivering 4 separate but concurring judgments, the Apex Court today ruled that identity was equivalent to divinity, that it was time to bid adieu to prejudices so as to empower all citizens alike without any alienation. The 493-page judgment said that history must apologize to the LGBTQ community for the delay in ensuring their rights, and adding that denial of self-expression was akin to inviting death. Capping a 17-year legal struggle that was nothing short of a roller coaster ride, the Supreme Court ended the argument by ruling that sexual orientation was innate and that homosexuality was not a disorder. Once again, the judiciary showing the way with absolutely no contribution by the Indian polity, which always had the option to make a new legislation. This is how the country reacted.
पार्टनर्स है, लवर्स है, हम लोग कभी बाहर नहीं आ सकते. आज हम लोग खुल के बाहर आ सकते हैं.
Finally, justice has been delivered. This is the happiest day of our lives.
Let's lead a life with dignity and with happiness.
The Supreme Court has shown the enlightened path by decriminalizing homosexuality and bringing it back into the realm of morality.
There should be periodic training of especially police officers, since they are people who are really on the ground, to make sure that this judgment percolates into society.
Make this judgment go viral across the world and make sure that it goes down all the way to the vernacular medias, to across the country, so that we understand that this community exists. It shall be silenced no more.
The celebrations were spontaneous.
Now I'm a legal citizen of this country.
Now India will look as a positive example for all those countries where LGBT rights are still oppressed.
We have a lot more fighting to do. We have marriage rights, adoption rights.
We were looking for a maximal judgment in the way that we would be granted civil liberty.
BJP in the past had shied away from taking a stand on gay sex. But today, across the ideological spectrum, we saw acceptance.
To elevate it to the status of a choice and put it on the same platform as normal men-women relationship, that I don't accept.
Judgment must be seen as a loud proclamation of the non-negotiable right to human dignity. Free choices cannot be interfered with.
Legal luminaries hail the order.
This judgment will pave the way finally for all the members of the community to assimilate into a homogeneous society.
The earlier verdict, I'm sorry to say, had taken our constitution back by 70 years. This verdict has taken our constitution forward. The court has redeemed itself.
With this new order, New India rises. Bureau Report, Times Now.
Which now brings me to the legitimate question. Don't netas owe an apology to the LGBTQ community for denying them equal rights all along, for in fact not accepting them the way they are?
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Let's open this up and let's go across to our guests who are joining us on the panel tonight. It was a landmark judgment, a big day, and here we have with us a big panel to talk about this judgment. We have with us Sameer Soni, actor, Arima Sundaram, he's a senior advocate, political analyst Apsara Reddy also joins us, Prince Manvinder Singh Gohil, gay rights activist, is also on the panel with us, along with Dr. Abraham Mathai, immediate past president of the Maharashtra Minorities Commission. We have Indira Tiwari, General Secretary of the Hindu Mahasabha, in the studio with us, along with Atikur Rahman, he is an Islamic scholar. Good evening to all my guests, and let me first go across to Prince Manvinder Singh Gohil. Prince Gohil, we have spoken about all the aspects of the judgment, not just today, but every time this issue came up in the court, there was a fierce debate both inside and outside the court. But in this entire process, we forgot something that the Supreme Court reminded us today: to apologize. The society needs to apologize to the LGBTQ community for denying them their rights, for denying them their acceptance the way they were. So let me begin by first apologizing and in fact asking you a question. How does the new freedom feel? And do you believe things are now going to change?
Yes, definitely this is a very historic judgment which has given us the rights, the legal recognition, and basically it talks about the constitutional rights which have been guaranteed to us by through the fundamental rights, and which we have been deprived of for last so many years. So definitely it's, this judgment is going to create a strong foundation for us, but this judgment is also going to open up a new challenge for us, and we have to now fight for social rights. We have to now talk to the society and make them understand that these are our human rights, and they need to accept us and support us the way we are.
Absolutely, all the support is required. And Indira Tiwari, is the society ready to support, to contribute in a strong foundation and accept the LGBT community after the Supreme Court's judgment the way they are?
This is the darkest day in the annals of the history of the judiciary for the country, and this cannot be terminalized as a progress. Let me be clear. This fringe element existed in all era of the humanity and the civilization, right from the primitive.
First of all, why do you call it the darkest day?
No,
and you're using words like fringe elements.
See, you are snatching my right to speak.
Of course not. I'm just asking you on what basis.
Let me speak.
Can I not ask you a counter question?
My voice.
Can I not ask you a counter question? Can I not say on what basis are you saying this is the darkest day?
That the media wants to impose what they want to do.
Nobody wants to impose anything. Nobody is imposing anything. Nobody is imposing anything. We are discussing what the Supreme Court has said.
Indira ji, talk about these kinds of personal dignity.
Can I just come in for a second, please?
Do you think the Supreme Court has passed a regressive judgment?
The dignity of everything has to be raised.
Are you saying
it is a judicial encroachment on nature?
Okay, let me bring in Apsara Reddy. Apsara Reddy, you heard what Indira Tiwari had to say. She believes it's the darkest day. She is calling the members of the community orange elements.
Do not subscribe to such. They exist. We do not.
Okay, now take a response, please.
First of all, I'd like to say it is the darkest day in the country.
But
you need to take a response. Once again, no, you cannot continue like this. I'm sorry, Indira Tiwari. No, you cannot continue like this. Let others speak. Let others speak.
And digressed by the
Let others speak.
Of this ruling regime.
People were out on the streets. People were out on the streets. They did raise that issue. That issue was raised.
It is the darkest day.
All right. Okay, now let others speak. Yes, Apsara Reddy, please go ahead.
I think it is the darkest day in India because people like Indira ji exist in this country with such voices which are still continuing to bully and discriminate us when the Supreme Court has legislated for us. How dare she come on national television and scream like this? How dare she come and say I'm not good enough to be a citizen of this country? Who is she to say that about other human beings? Don't we have human rights? It's violation of human rights. It's criminal to incite hate crime. It's women like her who incite hate crime. It's women like her because of whom we get abused and raped and people hide behind those voices. I think women like Indira ji should be booked under law and order sections. How dare she?
First of all, this is not a disorder. This is not a disorder, first of all. This is not a disorder. It's just your conservative
The disorder is with
assumption.
her. The disorder is with her because she's completely got it wrong.
It's your conservative assumption. It's not a disorder. It's not a disorder. Something that was pointed out and discussed by the Supreme Court also. Let me bring in Arima
Indira ji, why do you come on national television and scream your lungs out and make no sense? The country is watching you.
Called a mental disorder is concerned. The Supreme Court made it very, very clear today while pronouncing the judgment that one, this is not a mental disorder.
You are a disgrace for this country.
It is the final authority, the apex court. The apex
sorry,
court
constitutional morality does override individual morality.
Okay.
You have no business to question the Supreme Court.
You've heard what Indira Tiwari is saying. Your response. You don't, Indira Tiwari ji, you're not representing the entire nation. Let the other panelists speak. Exactly. That's why I'm giving others an opportunity to speak. That's why I'm giving others an opportunity to speak, to know what they have to say. Arima Sundaram, please come in. Yes, Arima Sundaram, please come in. All right, let others speak. Yes.
Yes. Look, the point is very, very simple. The fact is that this country, unfortunately, people in this country, unfortunately, more and more people are getting parochial, judgmental, and intolerant. And all three of them are an anathema to the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India believes in tolerance. It believes in freedom of conscience, freedom of expression. It believes in the right to privacy. The important thing which really comes out is when I see how agitated Ms. Tiwari is getting, it shows that is her state of mind. Now I, as a citizen of India, have to respect her state of mind. I have to accept that she has a right to say what she wants to say. Equally, she has to accept that others also have their rights, which should be subserved. As long as you have a right of privacy, as long as you have a right to choose your own individual thoughts and
Indira
expression,
Tiwari, do you understand the apathy of the LGBT community? Do you understand their struggles and what they have been through? Do you understand that?
I do understand.
Do you understand that?
But you want to impose.
You are not letting others speak. That in itself, shows that you are not ready to accept. You are not ready to accept other people's views. You should first start with listening to others to know what the problem is.
Yes. Or the judicial activism. And where are the people, shouting? The way the shouting is going on now, this is why the court has to come in. The court has to come in to protect people against other people whose voices will shout these people's rights out. The point is, just as Ms. Tiwari is objecting to anybody else here talking and believes only she and she alone has a right to speak, she and she alone has a right of opinion, she and she alone has a right to decide what is permissible and not. It is to subserve, to protect people against this kind of demagoguery, of this kind of dogmatism, that the judgment of the Supreme Court is such a clear pointer that the Supreme Court has very clearly, boldly stated Constitution is supreme and we will protect the Indian citizen and ensure that they get their rights under the Constitution.
For the judge to say, sir, you are wrong here. You don't have the guts. You will lose your license. You will lose your profession.
All right, let me also go across to Atikur Rahman. Atikur Rahman, will you ever understand the problems and the sufferings and the
talking about LGBT communities.
struggle of
She
people
needs to set
when you're
her
not
own
even ready to listen to what they have to say,
because I think
when
she
you
has
don't
a
even
skewed
want to
perception of
actually
LGBT community. How dare
acknowledge
she come
their
and make
existence?
such anti-human rights statements against our dignity?
Well, may I speak, Swati?
Who is Indira to tell us we're not good?
Swati, you are correct.
Who is she?
Only the wearer knows where the shoe pinches.
Accept that.
I am all with the LGBT community, Swati, and I have no intention and no right to impose my belief or my, orientation upon a particular people. The Supreme Court has opined upon the equality aspect of the Constitution. I fully agree with this aspect, Swati, but I have only one reservation. Even in the ongoings, in the arguments in the Supreme Court, Mr. Sundaram should agree with me that a point came wherein it was argued that what post decriminalization, and then the Supreme Court said that we are not concerned with the hypothetical arguments. We will be opining only upon the constitutional and the equality aspect. Now I am worried, Swati, what post decriminalization, I am worried about the adolescents.
No, but why are we so worried? Why are we so worried about that? Will we as society not contribute at all and leave everything on the Supreme Court? The Supreme Cote has already given the judgment. So should we now understand our responsibilities? Are we not sensitive? Are we not sensitive? Let me bring in Samir Soni also. Samir Soni, let me bring in Samir Soni also. The government maintained a safe distance. Samir Soni, it maintained a safe distance and put the entire onus on the Supreme Court.
It's the witness of the government.
Okay, firstly, thank you for allowing me to speak. Secondly, I cannot understand a word that lady was speaking because she was shouting so much. I don't know what, but she seemed extremely unhappy. As far as I understand the debate is concerned, I am very happy with the decision. I think it's about time. I think the issues are basically, is homosexuality, is it normal, abnormal? And to me, I don't think I can make a judgment on that, but it definitely should not be illegal. There's nothing wrong. People from the LGBT community have never harmed anyone. There's no reason, no logic why it should be illegal. If at all you want to see the amount of harm that's been caused, I personally always have felt that things like religion have caused more harm, more killings. Does that mean we should make them, illegal? Because I don't see LGBT community ever bothering anyone or disturbing anyone. They like to peacefully live their own lives. And I think they're entitled to. And discrimination for an individual, what two people do in a consensual act behind closed doors, which doesn't affect anyone, no one's business.
Over here. If you're talking about that,
I am extremely happy, and I don't understand. I just think LGBT is a soft target for a lot of people who want to say, oh, this is not right, this is wrong.
Section 377
I fail to understand. I have personal level, I'm extremely happy. I have a lot of friends in the LGBT community. I'm really I think I'm proud to be Indian today for
the point here is, why is there so much of resistance and why is there so much of hatred? What for? What for? Because members of this community are given their fundamental rights. Is this why some people are resisting that?
Country. Which is not an issue here. The hatred she's spewing.
There are different issues for the country.
She represents an organization.
No, you will not decide what those issues are. If this community feels their existence is an issue, it is an issue, Indira Tiwari. It is an issue. And the Supreme Court has taken a decision. The Supreme Court has taken a decision and given a judgment that nobody will have to live in fear because of their sexual orientation.
Why are you so unhappy? Why is a person so unhappy? It comes across in your tone and your ideology.
Let me go to Dr. Mathai.
You seem like a very unhappy, unsettled person. Why is that you have so much hate?
That's a very simple question. Why this resistance? Why this hatred, Dr. Mathai?
You cannot understand. There is no hatred. And the debate is not about
who are you to direct this kind of attitude towards us?
Let others speak.
Who are you?
Who are you? And who are you? I do also question you. Who are you?
I have
Dr.
fought my
Mathai,
right to be where I am.
If you can hear my voice, my question is very simple, sir.
Because of my
Why
hard
this
work, I'm a
resistance and why
transgender
this hatred?
woman. Just because you represent a religious organization doesn't put you on a higher stand.
I think you did not hear me, Indiraji. My question is to Dr. Mathai, not to you.
On national television spewing such hatred.
Please repeat your question.
I am asking, sir, why is there so much of resistance and why is there so much of hatred against the community?
I condemn this hatred against the community. I totally support the scrapping of 377, like I've been saying always, that all that is unnatural need not be criminal. Yeah, for example, I have told in the past, in high society, you see when they go to clubs, these men exchange the car keys, and whoever picks up the car key, he takes the wife of the other person. It is with consent. It is immoral, but it's not criminal. So likewise, the LGBT community, in whatever relationship they are, it may be unnatural, but it's not criminal. So I'm very happy for them that 377 has been scrapped.
Sexual orientation is natural. That's what the Supreme Court said. It's natural. It's a variant. It's a variant. And what is immoral about it?
Fine. So exactly. So what I'm saying is, whatever is consensual to two consenting adults, I think nobody has a business. See, I may have an opinion.
So if nobody has any business, then why call names? Why say it's unnatural? Why say it's immoral? How is it harming you in any way? Apsara Reddy, come in.
See, because same-sex marriage is not God's. It's not God's
Swati,
idea
I have
of
a
marriage.
point to make.
God's idea of
what
marriage
is the morality we are talking about?
I'm very happy that what's happened
in Hindu religion, we have Babas raping women and children in ashrams. In the Muslim religion, women are still fighting for divorce rights and marriage. In the Christian religion, the Pope is probing some of his senior counterparts across the world for child abuse. And here we're questioning simplistic love between two people. Shame on Indiraji.
They should.
Shame on somebody like Indiraji who comes here and makes such a fool of herself by speaking the way she does. It's a great disservice. I think law and order section should be applied and she should be arrested because she is the person who's spewing venom. And because of her, our community gets raped, abused, discriminated. Anybody who wants to touch us will hide behind a voice like Indiraji. I think voices like this need to be condemned fiercely.
You must be booked for threatening me on live telecast.
What has she said? What has she
said? She said that you
are coming and spewing hatred. Look at the voice of the country. Tune into Twitter, tune into national media, tune into the print media. They're celebrating today and you call it the darkest day. How dare you?
They may, who says? Who says the fringe elements are not the part of
call them fringe elements. Why are you calling them fringe elements?
There are two sides of the coin.
Why are you calling them fringe elements? And you say this is not hatred. You are calling them fringe elements. And you say this is not hatred.
You are the minuscule voice here.
I did not say that the other side of the coin does not exist. But that cannot be imposed also.
Why are you calling them fringe elements? Very basic question. Why?
Who are you to apply your morality on a larger LGBT community?
What is the definition of fringe elements? No, what is the definition of fringe elements?
Who are you to decide that? Are you the Constitution?
If they are not fringe, they would have been the only
I think you need to keep your views to yourself and sort out whatever opinions you have. I think coming on national television,
Arima Sundaram, Atikur Rahman said, what post-decriminalization? I think such mindsets are the biggest challenge in front of the society and in front of the LGBTQ community.
Miss Joshi,
but it's very minuscule, Swati, not many.
That question is to Arima Sundaram.
Like a very minuscule.
Indiraji, that question is to Arima Sundaram. Indiraji, Arima Sundaram can speak for himself. Arima Sundaram can speak for himself. Let him speak. Yes.
If I get you right, your question was, let there be decriminalization, but there will not be acceptance into society, is a worry. It's a very serious worry which was expressed by Justice Nariman, who said that what we have to do is look ahead and we have to bring in the sufficient training to see that there is an acceptance into society. What I'm most grateful for is what Ms. Tiwari just said, that there are two sides of a coin. She is absolutely correct. There are always two sides of a coin. And because there are two sides of a coin, I think we should each of us respect the other side to which someone may feel they do not belong. Someone may have complete disagreement with something else. They have a right to disagree, but they do not have a right to interfere with that person. And that is the message I think the court is giving. The whole thing is that in our constitution, we accept tolerance. What is tolerance? Tolerance is not tolerating somebody because they're saying exactly what I want them to say. If they're saying exactly what I want them to say, then that's not tolerance. Tolerance is that I tolerate somebody who believes, who says, who behaves in a manner I don't agree with.
Right.
That is tolerance. But there's always a line. And that the Supreme Court has very clearly laid down today. Consenting conduct between two people of whatever kind of orientation is completely permissible.
All right.
But consent is a must.
Consent is a must.
Bestiality is impermissible.
Absolutely. Samir Soni also wants to come in.
Which have no consent
Samir
are
Soni
not
and Apsara
permissible.
Reddy also
I
wants to
think
come
this
in.
is a
First Samir
brilliant
Soni, then Apsara Reddy.
exposition of what the constitution is.
Okay.
Okay. Look, I don't like this word saying that one should be tolerant, because that seems to imply that what LGBT community is doing is something immoral or wrong or unnatural. So I don't like that word, tolerance. It is more of educating yourself and understanding that if someone is a part of LGBT society, what we do might be unnatural for them. For example, I have a friend who's gay. For him to be with a girl is extremely unnatural. So it's about educating society to accept people who might not be like you. That doesn't mean you tolerate them. That is, I think, that's kind of looking down upon them. So I'm not crazy about saying, we should tolerate LGBT. It is about educating yourself and saying, hey, just because he or she is not like me doesn't make him any different, which is called acceptance. And I think our society has to be educated about this. We have to move out. As far as moral and immoral are concerned, I don't think any two religions will agree. For example, wearing in Islam, people have to cover, the women have to cover their hair, wear a burqa or hijab or whatever. And in Hinduism, if a girl is holding a guy's hand, that's okay. So who's going to decide what is immoral and what is moral?
That's an important question.
So because no religion is going to agree on that also.
That's an
so let's not
question.
Get morality.
Let's
not get into
Absolutely.
morality into this.
Who decides, Apsara Reddy, what is moral and what is immoral?
Majority people are certain way, that doesn't make it natural.
Yes,
See,
absolutely.
first of all,
it's just the way it is.
I fully
so
got
I think we have to educate ourselves.
I fully got the sense and the tone and tenor of Mr. Arima Sundaram. I think he meant it in a nice way. I don't think he meant tolerance in that sense. But I think the word we're looking for here is acceptance. I think acceptance across the board. I think majority of India is on board now, except for certain voices like Indira. I also want to say, moving the debate forward, we need to look at further rights for the LGBT community to truly be equal citizens in this country. Whether it's adoption rights, whether it's marital rights, whether it's property rights. I think we need to talk about the right things today on this debate rather than have some minuscule voices question what is moral and not. The Supreme Court has overruled all these minuscule morality and all of this individual morality. I think the constitutional morality holds good now.
And those are the issues that you just highlighted that are going to be discussed next.
Citizenship is concerned. Before the
Indira ji, I don't want to hear you again now, please.
Were they not issued with the election I-card? Were they not issued with the Aadhaar card? Were they not having any bank balance in this country? So talking about that today only they got the citizenship.
So are you doling out sympathy and tokenism to us? Who are you to say this is enough, this is good enough for you? Who are you to say that?
They are mocking
whatever
themselves,
rights you have in this country, I must have too. Who are you to say that is good enough for you? So आप sidelines पे रहो, आप कौन हो बोलने वाले ऐसे?
Generosity.
Who gave them? Who gave
Generosity.
them citizenship? By
Generosity.
I'm sorry, you're not doing us a favor.
Generosity. Who is showing the generosity?
We don't
they
need
have
your
a right. They have a right.
I think we're equal
They have a right.
what
This
you
is
get.
a right. But then look at your own thoughts. No, it's time for you to reflect.
This is our fundamental
It's time for you to reflect.
You're not doing any charity here,
reflect on your thoughts because on one hand you call them names. On one hand you call them games. You call them fringe elements. You call them fringe elements. On the other hand, you're saying why is it that you feel that you got the freedom today? They got freedom. They got freedom today. They got freedom today from these accusations. From these accusations that are leveled against them.
We've given you that. Do yourself that favor. Get some education and counseling. You'll do far better.
Sorry to say that this is not the issue of the citizenship. Please educate yourself.
You need to be sorry. You really do need to be sorry for what you're saying. I accept your apology.
No, nobody is apologizing. अपने मुंह मियां मिट्टू, अपने मुंह मियां मिट्टू,
अपने मुंह मियां मिट्टू वो हो रहे हैं नहीं हो रहे वो एक अलग मुद्दा है, लेकिन आप अपने जरा विचारों पर भी तो जरा ध्यान दीजिए। रिफ्लेक्ट करने का वक्त हो गया। नहीं नीरज जी, मैं ये क्यों कह रही हूँ, नहीं सुनिए मैं क्यों कह रही हूँ, मैं ये इसलिए कह रही हूँ कि एक तरफ आप उनको फ्रिंज एलिमेंट्स बुला रही हैं, फ्रिंज एलिमेंट्स आप उनको बुला रही हैं, यू आर लुकिंग डाउन अपॉन देम, एंड ऑन द अदर हैंड यू आर सेइंग आप आज सेलिब्रेट क्यों कर रहे हैं। ऐसा नहीं है कि आज ही आपको फ्रीडम मिली है, ऐसा नहीं है कि आज ही आपको सिटीजनशिप मिला है, उनको फ्रीडम ये जो मिला है ये सेंस ऑफ फ्रीडम इसीलिए है क्योंकि उनको क्रिमिनल की निगाहों से नहीं देखेगा, क्रिमिनल की निगाहों से नहीं देखेगा, क्रिमिनल की निगाहों से नहीं देखेगा। And you also have to understand there is a vast difference between a fringe element and members of the LGBTQ community before you draw that parallel.
अपने मुंह मियां मिट्टू वो बनते रहे, उसमें किसी ने क्या
Dr. Ibrahim Mathai also wanted to come in. Yes, Dr. Mathai, please go ahead.
Please move on.
Yes. I want to tell you, as I said earlier in the past also, I support the decriminalization of 377. But just now a panelist said we need to think further. We need to think of LGBT marriages. We need to think of the adoption of kids. I totally disagree, because marriage is an institution for procreation created by God. That's why I said no. Let's limit this. Let them be happy with the freedom that they got. When 377 is decriminalized, let's not talk of marriage. Tomorrow they'll say church should get them married. Why should the church get married? We don't believe it that way. Because we believe God created Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve.
That is
therefore
this
is a long debatable thing.
Let's
not get into that.
Allow that question.
Truly from my heart.
Okay, allow that question, please.
That 377 has been scrapped. Now they will
So
not be
I really want to understand the root of this hatred. I don't understand how somebody who claims to be educated and well exposed can come on national television and tell somebody you don't have human rights, you don't deserve the dignity, you're not an equal citizen. Any sane Indian human being with a little bit of a tolerant and accepting gene in them wouldn't speak this way. This is very anti-national, this is very anti-human rights, it goes against every grain of humanity and being Indian. How dare she speak that way? I want to ask her where the hatred is coming from.
You keep on enjoying your
I'm telling you, live your life as you all.
I have no problem.
As long as you have, as long as you don't have the capability, you have to procreate.
Neither it's
then don't expect to go and adopt kids also.
No, those
only a person who's part of a process of procreation would be able to take care of the kid.
Those issues will
you
also
can
come
ask any psychologist that.
Shouldn't we debate that?
Can ask any child psychologist
shouldn't we debate that? Arima Sundaram, these issues will also come tomorrow. It has opened doors. It has opened doors to these issues which will also be raised.
Sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Arima Sundaram.
Swati. Yes.
Well, we are discussing now.
Yes, these issues will come up. In fact, I think Justice Chandrachud. Yes. Exactly. I think Justice Chandrachud in his opinion did very clearly state that this is a beginning.
Right.
It has to be. You see, as time moves on, as time goes on, once we recognize the right of privacy, the freedom of choice, the freedom to live according to our own conscience, our own will and our own belief, as long as we don't hurt somebody else, as long as it's between two consenting people, I think this is a precursor to what is going to follow. And what will follow, we have found in many countries, at the first stage was acceptance of a reality, acceptance of another person's own orientation, which may not be the same as your orientation, but look at it the other way. That person may feel that your orientation is not the same as theirs. So it's a respect and acceptance of another person's orientation. That is a precursor. You find that in many countries today, it has gone to the next logical steps. Once you accept that there can be a consensual relationship between two people of the same sex,
let them try and procreate.
Then the next step is, can they not live together and exchange love? Can they not live together and get married? Can they not live together and be good parents? Now these are all questions which will come up in the future. And I think this is a natural progression of things. And I, for one, being the liberal that I am, would always support all that.
And Atikur Rahman, how would these issues be addressed then? Would we be as a society ready to debate these issues? Because the Supreme Court today has definitely opened doors to these issues, whether it's about marriage or whether it will be about the right to adoption. Atikur Rahman, can you hear me? Alright, I believe we've lost that line with Atikur Rahman. We'll try and connect with him.
Yes,
but let me
this
take
should
that
not
question
be permitted.
across to Prince Gohil. Prince Gohil, do you believe that today, after this landmark judgment, we as a society would be able to come together, first of all, to understand that the changes that we need to go through?
See, I don't think I am of the opinion that we have to advocate for our marriage and adoption. Our at the moment priority is that we have to attain our social rights. We are not even talking about. I am totally not in the favor of going in for the marriage or adoption rights, because first of all we are thankful to the Supreme Court. They have given us the legal recognition, but we have to go a long way to get acceptance from society. So I think that is our priority at the moment.
But then what about those who want those rights? In the near future, they might raise these issues, Samir Soni.
Yeah, I would advise him not to be so pessimistic.
Okay, firstly, I think that a very major step has been taken today.
Let everybody exercise their free will. Let them, if they want marriage, if they want to adopt, it's a personal choice. So when there's something that's coming your way, which is in the way of acceptance, please don't curtail that being a gay rights activist.
All right, Samir Soni.
So, okay, now as far as like I said, it's a big step today, but there's a long bumpy road ahead, and there will be a lot of obstacles, and we will have to define whether they can get married or can't get married, or if they can have children or not children. That is a long process which has to be discussed. But I would request all the religious leaders, because I heard someone mention Adam and Eve. Now, I would request all the religious leaders from all the religions, please stay out of it, because you people can't even decide who God is. Someone says it's Adam and Eve, someone's going to start with Jesus, someone's going to start with Ram. So you guys can't even decide who God is. So please don't come in this. All right? First agree among yourself who God is, who's the first person, then we'll discuss that. As far as a society is concerned, yes, this will be a progression, there will be discussions and of pluses and minuses. So please don't make statements like natural, unnatural and
stuff. If you cannot procreate kids, then don't go for adoption.
No, this is it.
Who will decide that for them?
Please don't pass the buck on to God.
Please do not pass the buck on God.
Leave God alone for some time.
And as a society, let us discuss. Don't they have a right to decide how they want to live their life?
Already judiciary has given them a free
They have the right to live. Of course they can live their life together. That's what I'm saying. I'm glad that
what is left now? Media is happy because media issue is only LGBT. Media issue is not the national priority.
I think you need to start watching the news channels a little more. You need to watch the news channels a little more.
Of the primary health. Media is not bothered, and media cannot also question with the government, because the media is run by the corporate houses.
Now she's angry with the media.
You are completely going on a different tangent.
Not the country.
On a different tangent.
Compromise.
I don't know
already with this government,
what position she's taking.
Cannot accept anything good from this government. And the judiciary
for the sake of yourself, please get some counseling.
The judiciary has failed many a times, not only in today's term, but in the past
also. Indira Tiwari, let me also introduce an eminent jurist and former Solicitor General. Harish Salve is joining us on the broadcast now. All right, Harish Salve is joining us on the broadcast now. Let's go across to him. Harish Salve, we were speaking to the members of the LGBT community for whom it has been a really long fight and an even longer struggle. But the Supreme Court today, with this landmark judgment, has ended the misery of a lot of people of that community.
And what about the misery of the SC/ST?
Indiraji, please.
It's a vindication.
Please, Indiraji, please. Yes, Mr. Salve, go ahead, sir.
It's a vindication. It's a vindication of the rights of people. It's a vindication of the court, which has reversed an earlier judgment, which judgment had got it very, very wrong. And the court has recognized fundamental human values. It has carved out the principle of each one of us having space in our personal life. And I think that principle is extremely important. Each one of us is entitled to live our private lives the way we want to live our private lives, as long as you don't disrupt anybody else's life or hurt anybody else.
Well, absolutely.
And that's a very important principle, because we are becoming a very intolerant society.
Right. Take me as I am was the strongest message that went out from the Supreme Court. Along with that, the Supreme Court also, while pronouncing the judgment, cleared a lot of misconception in terms of homosexuality not being a mental illness, not being a psychiatric disorder, in fact, it being a variation of sexuality.
See, that's the whole problem today, and I want to raise this issue which arises directly out of the judgment. We have become a very intolerant, judgmental society where people decide to ascribe to themselves the right to judge others, including what others do in their private space. So if I don't like what you're doing, I will say you're fascist, you're neo-Nazi, or you're this, or you're mentally disturbed, or you're a psychopath, or you need psychiatric care. We have lost the respect for each other's space. And that is what this judgment restores. And I think what this calls for really is the beginning of a mindset change. We have to learn to respect each other, and we have to learn to respect diversity. You and I may not think alike, but that doesn't mean you're lesser or I'm lesser. So that's the fundamental value, and that's what the court has said, that Chief Justice is a one-liner which says, I am what I am and you have to accept me for what I am, is the philosophy of tolerance. So I think this should set in motion a larger debate as to where we have gone wrong as a society.
Absolutely, where we have gone wrong, and as Justice...
The second important takeaway from this judgment...
All right. Go ahead.
The second important thing which the court has said is, as facet of non-discrimination, that there has to be a legal system, a ecosystem in which the rights which arise out of such relationships can be governed, like what are called civil partnerships. And civil partnerships, it's an acknowledgement that marriage today is one of the institutions in society. It's not the only institution. There are other relationships which may give rise to a marriage-like situation, which may require laws of inheritance, laws of gift, laws of sharing, separation, communal property, and so on and so forth. And I think we have to move ahead, and if the court has opened the door, if the legislature doesn't act, as it may find it difficult to act, because I'm sure this will have vocal critics, and our political system is loath to break the egg to make the omelette. The courts will find some way within the common law, I'm sure, as a first step, and then it will be followed by legislation.
Well, that in fact was going to be my next question, because many are actually asking that question now. What next? The impact of the judgment on the society, about other rights, other issues that will now come up, will have to be debated, will have to be discussed. Also very important how you pointed out that in this particular case, in this particular issue, the government always maintained a very, very safe distance, putting the entire onus on the Supreme Court. Harish ji, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yes. Harish ji, I was just going to ask you about what next, because people are now discussing that this particular order, this judgment has, as you said, opened doors for other issues also that will be brought up in the near future and will need to be discussed and debated in terms of other rights that the community enjoys. But also, to point out, it would have been better had the government also contributed, because the government maintained a safe distance.
See, I'll tell you, the court has not only found the right to privacy in the fundamental right to life, but it has also found the right to equality. And the right to equality has two dimensions. You treat equals equally, and you treat those who are differently. So if those who are in a civil partnership are different from those in a marriage, You must treat them differently. Now, if there is no law, and if you only have a law which limits itself to marriage, to inheritance arising out of marriage, and so on, and if there is a gap in the legislation which results in a class of people being left without the protection of the law, the court will intervene. Now, offhand, one cannot say what should be the correct balance. There are different models. There are a lot of countries. For example, in England, they have recognized it started by recognizing what is called the right of the common law wife, when a man and woman live together. So we will have to create certain common law relationships. And I'm sure there are people who will assist the court, present different points of view, and unless Parliament legislates, the court will intervene.
All right, Mr. Salve, Mr. Salve, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking out your time of your busy schedule. But there's a panelist with us, Indira Tiwari, and she wants to ask you a question, if you would respond to that. Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, I have a very question with all humility to you, that you people did not raise voice when the Supreme Court was literally minimized, rather dismissed by the same ruling government which scrapped your SC/ST ruling verdict, where they went against SC/ST Act and they brought in the legislation. They openly disgraced the Supreme Court society. Where were the voice of the legal fraternity then before the nation?
That's off the topic. That's completely off the topic. Indira Tiwari, that's completely off the topic.
No,
it's upon Mr. Salve if he wants to respond.
Complementary. All issues are complementary to each other.
Can I just inform the lady?
Yes.
Can I inform the lady? Lawyers raised their voice in court, and I believe that the amendment made to the SC/ST Act to get over the Supreme Court judgment is under challenge. And if I know a little bit of law, I would say that the amendment is extremely vulnerable. I'll be surprised if it passes muster.
All right, Mr. Salve, thank you now. Thank you for responding to my questions and also to the question that was asked to you by Indira Tiwari, and thank you for taking out time to speak to us. Along with that, I'd also like to thank all our panelists tonight. But the most important thing that Mr. Salve said during our interaction was that we as a society have become too judgmental. Who are we to decide how the other person should live his or her life? And the Supreme Court made it very, very clear today through this judgment. Thank you to all our panelists for joining us, and thank you for the viewers for watching.